Okay, so the book I'm going to be reviewing is Winter Wolf by Rachel M. Raithby, and this is about a story about this girl who's a werewolf, and there's like two different packs, and they're fighting each other. She falls in love with one of the people on the other packs, so then it's like Romeo and Juliet with werewolves. And the first chapter, she doesn't know she's a werewolf yet. She's been living with adopted parents because her actual parents left her on the doorsteps because of the war going on between the two packs. And the beginning scene, it's her 18th birthday, and her adopted parents die in a car crash. And then wolves come out, and she realizes werewolves exist in the first scene. And Catalina, the protagonist, I really didn't relate to her at all. I felt like her decisions were not the brightest. She wasn't the brightest. She was really impulsive and rude, and I was like, why are you being so rude to your grandmother? Your grandmother's so nice, and you're being all rude to her. Like, what? So, yeah, she was unrespectful to her grandmother. Yeah. In Raithby's writing, she uses a lot of telling and not showing, so I felt like everything that was happening wasn't. It was like she was talking about it, but I wasn't seeing it. I was like, where is this? What's happening? I just. Yeah, it's like with the Sebastian Evernight, which is the person, the love interest, is this seems really rude too, and it's like, oh, but he's not rude. It's like, really, because he seems like it, and I kind of wanted them both to die, but since it's no spoilers, I'm not gonna say if they died or not, even though I wish they did. Neither of them may. Because if it was gonna be Romeo and Juliet, it should end like the tragedy Romeo and Juliet ends. Saying, stick to it, at least the good parts. Don't just take the bad parts, take the good parts too. Like if your characters are super annoying, then it's okay to kill them off. Unlike Game of Thrones, but whatever. Okay. So yeah, it was shallow characters. And one of the characters, Cage, we met at the beginning, who was part of Catalina's pack, and Catalina's dad wanted them to get married. And at the beginning, Cage was like, oh no, I don't want to just marry her because I don't know her. But then it's like, oh, but then he actually does love her right away, even though contradicting to what he said before. And then this whole time he's being super protective of her, but it's like, that was contradictory. So it's like, your characters are stupid, work on them, rewrite this book, or just throw it away. It's just what I feel like doing, but I finished because I did not want to start the book without finishing it. So I finished it. So yeah, the romance was super forced. And first, right after her parents die, she's in the shed, and she sees Sebastian in his wolf form before she knows he's a werewolf. And she falls in love with him while he's a wolf, and she's looking at him, and he just looks at her, and he's supposed to kill her, but he doesn't. It's like, what? This isn't right to fall in love with wolves. You should not look at a dog and then fall in love with them. That's creepy. Even if they are actually a human, you don't know that yet. You don't know that, so why did you fall in love? That's just weird. So yeah, here's a quote to example of falling in love right away, because this was the second time or third time they met or something. This is Sebastian speaking to Catalina. Your wolf was made for mine. They fit perfectly together. You are mine and I am your mate. Catalina. Yeah. Also, the whole time, they never said werewolf. In the whole book, they said shifter. And I was like, okay, seriously, if you're a human and you're seeing wolves turn in to humans, you're going to call them a werewolf. You're not going to call them a shifter, even though they call themselves shifters. You, from that perspective, are going to call them a werewolf, which is what they are. Okay. I don't like this book. Those were some examples why. There were some good scenes, like the beginning scene, there were some good descriptions of things, but overall I would not read it again, and it is a standalone. There's going to be a new book, so the new book, I'm not going to read it for obvious reasons. Okay, bye.